I never imagined I'd cross this line. Not with him. He slipped out of me slowly, almost reluctantly. I didn't move. Couldn't. I just lay there, arms pressed tight to my sides, breathing through my nose to keep from making a sound. My robe was open, the belt still twisted under one leg. I married young, raised 2 kids, kept a tidy home, and followed the rules. Love became routine, predictable, steady. I didn't chase passion. I just maintained, smiled when expected, listened more than I spoke. I told myself stability was the same as happiness, but I was wrong. It happened on a thick, humid Friday in June. I just finished watering the garden when my phone buzzed. It was Monica, my closest friend since college. "Kay, would it be okay if Liam stayed with you this weekend? My dad's in the hospital. I need to drive to Tallahassee." Pause. Her son, Liam, 17, nearly 18, I remembered him hiding behind her legs when they visited. But now he was taller than both of us, deep-voiced, with a kind of quiet confidence that made you take a second look. Of course, I said yes. He arrived later that evening, duffel bags slung over his shoulder. "Thanks for letting me stay, Miss Garrett." "Please," I smiled. "You're not 12 anymore. Call me Elena." He grinned, and I caught the way his eyes lingered just a beat too long. I told myself not to notice. That night, I made spaghetti, apparently still his favorite. We watched a movie after dinner, something action-packed that he was engrossed in. I mostly watched him, how intently he followed the screen, like searching for something in it. Later, I brought him extra towels and found him sitting on the back deck, staring into the dark. Fireflies blinked in the grass, cicadas buzzed in the heat. "You okay?" I asked gently. He nodded slow. "Sometimes I wish I could just stop time. You ever feel that way?" I studied the angle of his jaw in the moonlight. "Yeah," I said quietly, "more than you'd think." He looked at me, and for a second the air between us changed. Calmer, deeper. Then he smiled, stood, and said, "Good night." I stayed outside longer, warmth blooming unexpectedly in my chest. It wasn't attraction. I told myself that. It was just being seen. The next day started slow. I made pancakes. He helped me clean out the garage without being asked. We played music, Fleetwood Mac, and I teased him when he sang along. "My mom raised me on your playlists," he said with a grin. By late afternoon, sweaty and tired, I suggested we cool off in the pool. I hadn't worn that one-piece suit in years. It felt tighter than I remembered. When I stepped outside, he was already in the water, floating peacefully. "Come on in," he said, eyes closed. The water was warm. We splashed and chatted, nothing heavy. Then he looked at me. "You don't smile much. Blink." "I do." "You really don't," he said. "When it's real, it lights up your whole face." I tried to laugh it off, but it stuck with me. He wasn't seeing me as someone's mom's friend. He was just seeing me. That night, I couldn't sleep. His voice echoed in my head, his laugh, the way his eyes met mine and didn't flinch away. Something was waking up in me, something I'd buried a long time ago. The next morning, I was up early. The sun wasn't up yet. I sat with coffee, staring at the soft light spreading across the yard. I told myself the feeling would pass. Then I heard his footsteps, bare feet on hardwood. My stomach fluttered. He entered with sleepy eyes and messy hair. "Morning," I said. "You're up early. Want some eggs?" We moved through the morning slowly, me cooking, him nearby, watching, in that way that made me both nervous and curious. When I handed him his plate, his fingers brushed mine. Just a second, but it jolted something awake. "You always seem so calm," he said as we ate. "Is that your way of saying I'm boring?" "No," he smiled. "You make this house feel safe." I didn't know how to respond.
I'd spent so long being the person who held things together, who made it look easy, but hearing it meant something, meant he saw me. After breakfast, we drifted into our own routines. He read on the porch, I did laundry, but the storm clouds rolled in by afternoon, and we ended up inside together. We sat on opposite ends of the couch as the rain tapped the windows. I lit a few candles. We flipped through an old photo album. "That's my daughter," I said, pointing to a muddy little girl holding a frog. "She's stronger than I ever was." He looked at me. "You don't give yourself enough credit." I was suddenly aware of how close he was, the warmth between us. "I remind you of someone I used to know," I whispered. "Is that good?" He nodded, but also a little scary. There was a long pause. Then he reached over and touched my hand. Light touch, faintly warm. "You don't have to be afraid with me," he said. My breath caught. I didn't pull away, not for a second, but after a moment, I stood. "I'm gonna make tea." In the kitchen, I gripped the counter. My heart thudded. I told myself it was nothing, just a confused moment in a lonely weekend. But I could still feel his fingers. That night, I lay in bed listening to the storm fade. I didn't sleep much. The line between us had shifted. I didn't know what it meant, only that I couldn't go back to pretending nothing had changed. The next morning, the air was cooler. I stood on the porch, coffee in hand, watching the mist rise. Liam hadn't come down yet. I wasn't sure if I hoped he would or wouldn't. Eventually, I heard his footsteps. "Morning," he said. "Hey." We stood in silence. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm not sure," I admitted. He nodded, like he understood more than I said. "Yesterday, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable." "You didn't," I said quickly, then softer. "Not exactly." He waited. "I think I forgot what it feels like to be noticed, and I wasn't expecting it from you." "I wasn't expecting to feel it either," he said. That day passed slowly. We went grocery shopping, folded laundry, watched a movie. Quiet, slow, full of silences and small moments. Halfway through, he reached for my hand. This time, I didn't move away. We sat like that, still, present, breathing the same quiet air. You're the first person in a long time who really listened to me, who didn't treat me like a dumb kid. "You're not," I whispered, "and I see that." I reached up, brushing hair from his forehead before I could stop myself. He leaned in close enough that I felt the heat of his breath. I stood too quickly. "I need to start dinner." He didn't stop me. That night, after we cleaned up, he turned to me. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For being you." I touched his cheek briefly, gently, and in that moment I realized this wasn't about age or lines or rules. It was about being seen, wanted, known. After he went upstairs, I sat alone in the dark. I didn't try to sleep. I just let myself feel. He was leaving in the morning. Life would return to normal. But nothing would really be the same, because I was awake.